Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a virtual training webinar hosted by VA OSDBU and the Strategic Outreach and Communications Program. Please note all participants will remain muted for the duration of this session. If you experience any connectivity issues while logged in, we suggest disconnecting and logging in again. If that does not resolve your issue, please use the WebEx dial-in and access code to rejoin the session. This session will be recorded and a copy of the presentation as well as a link to view the recording will be made available to you within 48 hours. Please take a moment to locate the Q&A panel and chat window on the lower right side of your screens. Please only use the Q&A panel to type your questions to the panelists and only use the chat feature for brief networking, introductions, and kudos. At the conclusion of today's event, you will be prompted to complete a brief survey. We would greatly appreciate your feedback. Before we begin, I would like to welcome Mr. Curtis Brandon with the Strategic Outreach and Communications Program and Program Federal Lead of the Direct Access Program, who will provide opening remarks on behalf of VA OSDBU.
Thank you, Amanda. Greetings and good afternoon from the Department of Veteran Affairs Office of Small and Disadvantaged Business Utilization. On behalf of our leadership, we thank you for your participation in today's virtual training webinar. VA OSDBU remains committed to employing innovative methods to promptly inform you about relevant procurement opportunities, training, and information. Virtual events we conduct would not be possible without the support of industry partners and programs like Uninet. We are grateful that Mr. Dwight Gibbs, Senior Vice President, made time in his busy schedule to host today's event. Strategic Outreach and Communication is dedicated to small business procurement readiness through various programs, outreach events, and education and training. We routinely conduct a variety of engaging online events designed to facilitate meaningful interactions and foster relationships. We encourage all to continue to visit our website to stay updated on upcoming events and valuable opportunities to connect and collaborate. We also extend our thanks to everyone who supports the department in its mission to serve our nation's veterans. The participation of any commercial entities in VA outreach and training programs does not convey or imply that the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs directly or indirectly endorses any product or service provided or to be provided by the commercial entity, its successors, assignees, or licensees. Furthermore, the Department of Veteran Affairs does not warrant any services that may be provided by the commercial organizations listed. Back to you, Amanda. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brandon. I will now introduce our panelists for today's training webinar, Mr. Dwight Gibbs, Senior Vice President and founder of Uninet Contractor, and Matt Simonson, Senior Product Marketing Manager at Uninet. Mr. Gibbs, you may begin.
All right, well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And thanks to everyone on the call for joining today. We appreciate your time and your interest. So today, as this slide tells you, we're going to talk a little about how AI can help you identify and win the right opportunities. So just a little background about me. I've been in the software industry for 30 years. I was started my career at the Motley Fool in the 90s, one of the first .coms. I was also the CIO at Input, and that was GovWin before Deltek bought GovWin. I started Contractor in 2012, and just about two months ago, Contractor bought Uninet. Wait. Uninet bought Contractor. Sorry, I always get that messed up. So I've been in software for quite some time, and I've spent a fair amount of time in the government space. We're going to talk about a few different topics today. What I want to cover first is kind of the federal government current environment. We're going to talk about traditional business development methodology, talk to you about some of the goals that our clients have told us that they have, and then we're going to talk about what's available today in terms of AI identification of opportunities, and then I think what's more interesting, what's coming next. So with that, let's talk about the current environment. So it's not great. No, I don't think anyone's surprised by this. The number of opportunities being released is down. The number of awards is down, and the dollars, the award dollars are down as well. It's kind of a tough time to be operating in the federal space, without a doubt. Now, for most of our clients, what this means is they're going to play some defense, and you should be playing defense. If you're not looking at your cost structure, not trying to economize, not addressing working capital, you probably should be. But what's more interesting for our clients is, not just playing defense, but trying to play a little offense, right? So if all you're doing is playing defense, no one cut their way to greatness. Doesn't happen. So in terms of playing offense, how can we actually, create more proposals, higher quality proposals with a higher chance of winning? How do we try to increase our business in a tough environment? Not easy, no doubt about it, but AI can be helpful in doing this. Now, before I go on, I do want to give everyone a little bit of hope. This isn't new, right? We've seen some downturns before, right? We've seen recessions, we've seen sequestration, we've seen shutdowns, and we've seen COVID. And the federal procurement has always bounced back. We are thinking it will, and hoping that in the fiscal third and fourth quarter, we're going to see some better opportunity for our clients. So don't give up hope. Not everything is dark. We have history to show us that things could be better and will be better. So let's talk about the current BD process, right? So historically, the way the BD in many organizations has worked is that you monitor different portals, whether that's SAM or previously FBO, or maybe it's GWAC portals. You'll go in and do some searching. You might use FPDS, USA Spending to get some contextual awareness, and look using NAICS codes and PSC codes. Maybe search for set-asides to try to find opportunities that are relevant to your business, right? And you'll track recompetes and that kind of thing. And then you'll go through the opportunity and all the attachments, right? And you read through all this stuff very carefully and try to figure out, okay, is this something that's relevant to us, right? So I may do some research in FPDS to understand the agency, sub-agency, maybe the CO as well. Try to ID the incumbent. Maybe identify partners and potential competitors. And then you'll load up a spreadsheet and start tracking all this information. And you're going to do this all before you even start working in op. This is all in the evaluation portion of the opportunity management. That is non-trivial, and it requires a lot of time. So we've seen estimates of 10 to 30 hours, as you can see. And that's before you even get into, all right, now we got to start working on our proposal. That's a lot of time, and it's a lot of manual time. And we think that AI and technology can definitely make this a little better in terms of more efficient and more effective. So that's kind of this is where we are right now. Then in terms of what our clients are telling us, in this environment, given this process, this is what our clients are trying to get to. Right now, everyone understands there's an opportunity cost for putting together proposals and quotes. Right? If you're working one, you're not going to work another one. So you really need to be cognizant about what you're working. So all of our clients want to get their proposal and their quote rates up. Everyone wants to do that. They want more at bats, right? More chances to win. They also want the quality of their proposals to be higher. Everyone wants that, right? And to basically accomplish that, you really need to minimize the time that you spent not working on the actual proposals and quotes, right? And we want to minimize the time we spend actually working the proposals and quotes. So some of these are in conflict or appear to be in conflict, right? So we want higher quality, but we want to spend less time on it. Not easy to do, right? Not easy to do. So there's a fair number of systems out there that are using AI for opportunity identification. So there are systems out there today that you can use that harness AI in multiple different ways, right? So they'll automatically identify the SAM renewals. They'll give you an idea of agency buying patterns. Do they spend more money in the first quarter, the fourth quarter? Where do they spend their money? How do they spend their money? What are likely competitors? Who else is active in this agency or sub-agency? Who are potential partners that sell complementary goods and services that we might be able to partner with? And you can upload your previous proposals and quotes, and it will try to find, the AI will try to find the opportunities that most closely match what you've won in the past. This is all here today. And if you're not using it, maybe you should be. There's also other AI tools out there that'll allow you to ask questions of individual opportunities without actually reading through them. Like, hey, what are all the LCATs mentioned in this op? Or are there any products that identified in this opportunity? You can use AI to ask those questions, or you can ask AI about multiple opportunities, right? And there's AI that should give you a summary, or can give you a summary of opportunities, so you don't have to download and open 28 different attachments from the SAM site to figure out, okay, what's really in this thing, right? This stuff is here today, without a doubt. And as a matter of fact, I can show you, and this is not a commercial. I'm not trying to sell my service, but this is what contractor has. And let me go back. Sorry, I was doing a demo earlier. But there are systems out there. Uninet Contractor is one, our GovIntel is one. There are other systems out there, and they'll go out and aggregate, pull in all of your opportunities on your different portals and from different emails. They'll score each individual opportunity to let you know what's of interest, and then they'll also give you an AI summary for the opportunity. So you can just hover over the summary, and we'll give you a summary, all without having to actually really look at it. And if you want to look at it, you obviously can. So I could go in here and say, hey, I want to take a harder look at this. And it will show you all the information about the opportunity. You could go download all the attachments if you wanted, but it'll also show you current opportunities, previous ops, awards for the agency, sub-agency, and for the CO as well. So there are systems like this out on the market today that you can use to better improve your efficiency in identifying opportunities, right? So that's great. That's what's here now. It's very nice. It's wonderful. And if you're not using it, you probably should be. But I think what's more interesting is what's coming in the very near future. So, some of the things that we've been talking to our clients about, again, all the systems will always, look for renewals. They'll give you competitors. They'll give you partners. They're also going to show you recent awards by the agency, sub-agency, and CO to give you the situational awareness you need for what else is this agency buying, right? And they'll do the proposal quote management where you upload your quotes and proposals, and they'll find similar opportunities for you, right? And that's great. And particularly if you can identify, hey, we've done work for this agency, sub-agency, or for this CO previously, that's great. So all those first three sections in there today. The next two, I think, are the most interesting portions. And this is what we're working on today. So, and we're not the only one, again, not an advertisement, but I think what's more interesting is the temporal analysis, right? The first three are just kind of static, historical, looking backwards, and that's useful. But I think what's more interesting is to take the temporal, the situation, more of the situational current data state, and applying that to the opportunities. Now, what do I mean by that? So your CRM is a great source of information. So ideally, you've got your BD and your sales reps entering notes about conversations, emails that they're having with different contacts within government agencies, right? So ideally, for every meeting, every email, every phone call, they're recording that in your CRM. The AI in the future is going to grab that information and do some sentiment analysis on it. Is this a positive thing? Is it a negative thing? Or is this a collegial exchange, or is this an icy exchange? And if it's collegial, if it looks good, the AI will weight opportunities from that agency, sub-agency, CO higher in terms of, hey, maybe this is one we should work on, right? So the CRM needs to be, you need to be recording that information in the CRM. What I think is more interesting than that is your ERP, your previous performance, right? So have you done opportunities for this? Have you performed contracts for opportunities like the one that's currently being analyzed? If so, was it delivered on time? Was it delivered on budget? Did you get a high rating from your client? Did you have a good margin on it? And I think the single most important thing that people aren't really focused on is, the LCATs. So for us, we talk to clients and they have people on the bench. Now, for everyone on the call, you may say, oh, Dwight, we never have anyone on the bench ever. And if so, that's great. Your mom didn't lie, you're special. A lot of our clients have folks on the bench and they need to get them off the bench. They also have projects that are coming to close, and those folks are going to need to get off the bench. So if you ask me, the most important thing I can do is getting anyone who's on the bench or going to be on the bench soon off the bench. Because for most of our clients, working capital is precious, and they can't keep people who aren't billable, and our clients don't want to let go of people. So in the future, what you're going to find is the AI is going to be looking at your CRM and your ERP information to figure out, for each individual opportunity the AI analyzes. It's going to say, have we done work like this? Have we done work for that agency, sub-agency, CO? What LCATs do we have available or are soon to be available? Are they represented in this opportunity? Now, the last two words there, including partners. One of the things we've been talking to some of our clients about is sharing data with their partners. So proactively, not going out and saying, hey, do you have this? But saying, hey, here are the LCATs I have on the bench. So if you can find opportunities for us to work together, we're excited about that. Let's go. So if you can get your folks off the bench and your partners' folks off the bench, that's a worthwhile opportunity to consider. So what's this going to look like, right? What are we going to have in the future? Well, we're going to have a portal like what I showed you. There'll be a portal it will automatically develop a profile based on what you've done in the past and what you tell it you want to do in the future. It will automatically ingest opportunities from SAM, GWAC portals, teaming portals, what have you. It will automatically pull them up. It will serve up the awards that really fit your profile, and it will identify the most relevant pursuits. And then what it's going to do is say, hey, based on everything we've seen in the historical awards and FPDS, in the current ops and most recently expired ops, and in your CRM and your ERP, these are the ones we think you should go after. And you'll be able to one click push those into your proposal generation system, and that will automatically create your compliance matrix and your pink team copy of the proposal. Now, of course, we're going to need system integration. The UX needs to be clean. It needs to be one portal, and security and compliance. I can't stress this enough. Particularly since some of your proposals are your crown jewels. Need to be very sure that whoever you're working with has security and compliance top of mind. Okay, so this is coming, in my estimation, the next probably 10 to 20 months, you're going to see a lot of this coming to market. So how can you prepare for this? Data hygiene, I can't stress this enough. And I think most people are familiar with GIGO, garbage in, garbage out. If your data isn't clean, it's going to be useless in terms of how the AI applies it. So you need to understand who owns what, who owns your previous proposals, who owns the CRM data, who owns the ERP data. You should be engaged in routine cleaning to make sure that it's in good shape, that you don't have 28 versions of each proposal. You know what was your actual golden proposal. You need to make sure that your sales reps and your BD folks are actually recording all their activity in your CRM so you can leverage that when you evaluate the opportunities. AI training. A lot of people are still afraid of AI. They don't understand it. They don't use it. They're not comfortable with it. I'm afraid it's going to take my job. I understand there's a fair amount of fear, but once people go through a little bit of training and understand AI in general and how to do prompt engineering, usually the fear turns into, hey, this is an opportunity for me to be even more effective and more valuable. And then the third thing to consider is integration. If there's not an easy way for you to integrate with your proposal management system, with your CRM, with your ERP, with your opportunity management system, it's going to be very, very hard for you to leverage all these different data types to allow the AI to synthesize all this data together so that you can better and more quickly evaluate opportunities and start working on that pink team version as quickly as you can. All right. So in summary, today there's basic FPDS, analysis, previous proposal analysis, and that's great, and it works, and it's good, and you should be using it. Tomorrow, you're going to see that disparate data synthesis for situational awareness, where the AI is going to reach across your systems to pull in all the relevant data to make a better decision on, is this opportunity something we should be going after, or is it not? So in preparation for that, get ready. You need to do the AI training. You need to focus on your data hygiene. You need to focus on integrations, because ultimately, in the next couple of years, you're going to have a new role. The AI is actually going to review all the opportunities to identify best fit, and it's automatically going to create your compliance matrix and your pink team, and possibly soon a red team. And then you're going to move from proposal identification to proposal reviewer. And that is the future. It is coming without a doubt. Now you're probably saying to yourself, "Hey, Dwight, you've talked a lot about the opportunity identification, but you haven't said anything really about the AI used for proposal generation." Well, do you have anything to say about that? I'm glad you asked, because I'm actually not going to cover that today, but coming soon, Josh Kramer is going to be giving a presentation similar to this on the actual AI proposal generation. So Josh is running our proposal AI shop. Josh and his team have been working on AI generated proposals for several years, and there's a lot of companies out there doing it. Most of them are pretty awful. They're using just generic ChatGPT or generic Claude, and what you get out is a very general proposal that isn't going to win you anything. What the proposal AI team has done is actually pretty impressive in terms of voice and synthesis of all the different data types available to it. So I know that sounds like a commercial. It's not meant to be. The commercial is actually Josh and his team are really smart, and they've been giving this a lot of thought. So ignore the product they have for sale. Focus on what their experience shows and what they can help you do. And there are multiple systems out there. So this is not a commercial, but Josh is a very thoughtful guy. And I think if you all have time to attend his presentation, you'll come away with a lot of good information. All right. I'm hoping to give you all a little time back in your day. So we do have some time for Q&A, and I haven't been monitoring the Q&A since I've been giving the presentation. Matt, do we have any questions that came in?
No questions yet for you to answer.
Okay. Either I did a fantastic job or everyone's eating lunch or doing email while I'm ready.
Now it's a few in here, and there's one in the chat. There's a few in the Q&A. I'm not sure if you're able to see it or not, but I can see it on my end.
Okay.
And if you do have any questions, I ask that anybody or everybody on the call, please put it in the Q&A box. But one question that came in the chat that I think was very interesting, it says, let me scroll back down. I've tried AI and I synthesize, and most of what comes back out is not usable, and you still have to do research, which takes longer time. How can you guarantee what you are saying is actually true?
So guarantees are tough to come by, no doubt. What I said about GIGO, garbage in, garbage out. If the data is not great, you're going to get not very great response. I also mentioned prompt engineering. So I see people who say, they'll basically upload documents and say, "What should I do?" or very general questions. That's not going to get you a good answer. The AIs are built, the LLMs are built to give you an answer. And so they're going to do that. The quality of that answer depends on the quality of both your data as well as the quality of the prompt you put in there. So, and people laugh, initially when they see, a prompt of, you are an experienced proposal management a consultant, and you go through and the role and the specific questions and what you want. And good prompts can be paragraphs long. And what you're going to say is, "Well, God, do I got to write 2 paragraphs to get anything out?" Well, it's a question of cost benefit. So the alternative is to read through everything and try to synthesize it yourself. So, I would never say that you should take anything from an AI model right now as the truth without asking questions. Everyone needs to have some critical thought, right? Because there are hallucinations, without a doubt. And that's particularly the case when you deal with generic LLMs like OpenAI's ChatGPT and Claude. You're better off with a highly trained, focused LLM rather than a general one. But I do think they can be useful. Sorry, that was a lot of rambling. I don't know, Kurt, was that okay?
Oh, that was good. That was good. Thank you. We got time. That was good. So next question I see in the Q&A, do we need to provide active logins to all of the government sites for the AI tools to pull data out of them?
Yes and no. So SAM is open, right? You can just go grab all the opportunities off SAM. That's okay. GPO is also open. You can go grab them. But for things like Seaport, for things like chess, the GSA eBuy portal, yeah, you're going to need to set up a login. And everyone says, "Oh, is that allowed?" It's just like working with a contractor, right? So you give contractors logins to these sites to help you work the opportunities. It applies the same way to your AI. So you will need to create logins, and quite frankly, you want to have the dedicated login so you can turn them off whenever you want, if you want.
Awesome. Thank you. This question may have been answered in the chat. I did see something come across the screen, but it's in the Q&A. Somebody asked, what is an LCAT?
Oh, I'm sorry. Labor category. My apologies. The vegetable soup of government, acronyms. The TLAs, the three-letter acronyms. Yeah, labor categories are basically classifications for the skills you have on your team, whether it's like a database administrator, network administrator, business analyst, that kind of thing. My apologies. I should have mentioned that in the presentation.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you. What specific AI tools are you recommending that can do these things?
We have our own. You'll find Govly has their own. There's GovSpend has theirs. There are a variety of different competitors in the market that have these kind of tools. Like I said, these are the basic ones. They're like, buying habits, competitors, partners, recompetes. Those are the ones that have that basic information. In terms of the significant data synergistic analysis of CRM and ERP, I'm not aware of anyone right now that has that available and in production. At least no one yet has that available in production.
Thank you.
Mhm.
What are the other tools you see leading? 1 second. Something came across the chat. What are the other tools you see leading in this space for both op review and proposal, or even short response like RFIs
Yeah.
and draft support?
So I'm going to let Josh handle the actual proposal development. He is much better versed in that space. In terms of opportunity evaluation, it is the ones I mentioned. They're my competitors, but they're worthy competitors in terms of GovSpend and Govly, and GovWin has apparently got something in the works. I'm not sure. They don't share too much information with us, but there are other tools like that in the market. But Josh can give you a better overview of the proposal development market. So he deals with it every day and is more fluent than I am.
Awesome. Thank you, Dwight. What is the name of the product you demoed earlier? Is this ready to be used?
Yeah, again, I don't want to make this a commercial because it's not supposed to be. That was the product that I built for the last 13 years. I sold my company to Uninet 2 months ago, so it's called Contractor, now rebranded Uninet GovIntel.
Thank you. How does AI work for SAM renewal?
So what it does is it'll go through each of the opportunities and try to suss out, is it a recompete? Does it mention an incumbent? Does it mention a prior opportunity? It analyzes the text to see, is this new or is it a recompete? And there's a variety of different ways to tell if it's a new or recompete. It just saves you some time from having to do it. But quite frankly, you could figure it out after 2 seconds if you've been doing this job for a while.
Thank you. Thank you for hosting this call. Does the Uninet AI tool leverage Shipley proposal practices?
Yes, indeed. How could you not? Right? That's what everyone's doing. So yes, Josh can talk to that, but yes, everyone, almost everyone we know is using Shipley, and it does dovetail nicely into the Shipley methodology.
Thank you. What is the best source of prompt engineering training?
God, it's such a loaded question. I hate to recommend anything because people are like, that's not as good. I got a better one. Actually, the one that I'm recommended for my daughter, who's a sophomore at UMass, it was a Khan Academy course, and I was focused on free because I didn't want her to have to pay anything, but it was actually quite good. and she felt much more comfortable. So she's in college and worried that when she gets out, there's gonna be no more jobs because AI is gonna take them all. So I was like, no, 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 you just need to know how to use it. So she went through it. It didn't take that long, but it was pretty cool and pretty good.
Thank you. Is there a particular LLM that Uninet is using? I'm presuming that the business companies doing that kind of work have written their own API. Please confirm.
Yeah, so we start with commercial LLMs, and then we customize them and train them to our needs. So I don't think it's a secret. We've FOIA'd a significant amount of winning proposals to help with the training. So these are not generic. You can't just go to ChatGPT and Claude and just get the same results. These are commercial models we've customized and then trained the way we think they should be trained to create the baseline, and then we add our client's information on top of that. So hopefully, Kurt, I hope that answered the question. Talking around it.
Thank you. Our team is in the middle of redoing our opportunity pipeline using APIs from different sites. To speed along our workflow, are there any that you would suggest?
So it's challenging, right? Because some of the sites don't have APIs, right? So SAM has an API. It's good. We use it. We like it. But things like Symphony, very hard to extract information out of. eBuy, same way. For Soup, you're not even supposed to be logging into that site if you're using a tool. So unfortunately, I can tell you that most of this comes down to us writing code to extract the information from the different sites. If they have APIs, that's fantastic, wonderful, love it. FPDS has a good API. We use that. So we ingest opportunity or awards every morning through their API. But what you'll find is there's plenty out there it requires a developer to go in and scrape the sites. And it's painful and tedious and error prone. But that's this is going to sound salesy. Try not to. That's why our clients pay us to do that so that they don't have to do it. Sorry if that sounded like a sales job.
That's right. Thank you. What systems are out now that you recommend for reviewing contract history opportunities?
Oh, historical ops. Yeah. So, you'll find, again, my competitors, we allow you to do that. Govly does. GovWin has history. GovSpend has history. Federal Compass, I think, has history. I know the folks over there pretty well. So there's a variety of different tools out there that have historical opportunities that you can analyze. It's just a question of how you want to do that and what exactly you want and the depth. I actually, we have clients that want to go back 20 years. My reaction is the opportunity that came out 20 years ago is irrelevant. It just doesn't even matter. Everything has changed. Technology has changed. People have changed so much that I don't think going back much further than 5 years is useful. So when I see people touting that they have every opportunity from the beginning of time, I'm like, I don't care. That's not actionable data. And this, without going on too much of a rant, actionable data. You'll find a lot of vendors out there who will say, we have this, that, these, those. And my reaction is, how is that actionable? How is that going to help me, with my business? So as an example, DHS is going to spend $310 million next year on, single sign-on. How does that impact what I'm doing? Has zero impact on what I'm doing. I either have relationships or I don't. I either have the skills or I don't. But knowing what someone's going to spend next year really doesn't change anything that I'm going to do. So, sorry, here endeth the rant.
Good, thank you. I have had mixed results using my own RAG pipeline with VectorDB for proposal work. But given context window sizes, it's one of the only options for large solicitations with all of your past performance available to the chat model. How has your team overcome the limits of RAG in this context?
So a lot of it has to do with the pre-training we do. We're not just using what you have done. We're using a tremendous amount of historical data to assist the RAG and assist the LLM. If you just say, I'm going to go I'm just going to go with what I have and feed it what I have, I think your results are going to be mixed. Don't get me wrong, vector databases are fantastic. They're awesome. They're a little expensive, without a doubt. You can spend a lot of money, but they have their place. But I think you need more than just your information to really make the LLMs sing.
Thank you. What CRM systems do you know of that integrate with AI well?
So it's not so much the individual systems. It's do they have a well-defined API? So again, I'm going to sound salesy. Unit has a CRM, okay. Salesforce, great, fantastic API, but a little expensive at scale. Dynamics is good, though a little tough to use. HubSpot is good. Sugar is good. We have some clients that use Pipedrive and like it. It's not so much the individual tool themselves. It's do they offer you a robust API so that you can get the information you need? And most specifically, I'm talking about the activities associated with each account. And so if you get that, it's good. A lot of people in their CRM, and that's where they record their wins, losses. That's also obviously in your ERP. So a lot of this comes down, and this is going to sound totally wishy-washy. My apologies. A lot of it comes down to how you want to do your data integration and where your data is the highest quality. For most of our clients, their highest quality data is in their ERP because DCA compliant, it's got to be right, and they're very meticulous about what's in the ERP. They're less meticulous about what's in the CRM, and that's unfortunate. But a lot of this comes down to, I mentioned your integration strategy. What are you going to pull from where? And that's a function of what can you pull, was the API allow you to pull, and what's the data quality in that system. So those are the things you need to balance when you're figuring out how am I going to orchestrate all this data.
What are the best AI solutions for the small business community? Some of these companies out here are running about 10K a year. Yeah.
And so, it is tough because on the low end, that sounded really, really pejorative. For our clients that are smaller, every penny matters, right? So, we and others price our solutions to scale, right? So if you have 2 people, it's affordable. If you have 100 people, it's also affordable. So we have a sliding scale. What I find that doesn't work is the one size fits all. Yeah, it's 50 grand a year. Small companies can't afford that. So look for a vendor that understands what you look like in terms of staffing and revenue, and most importantly, profit, and can price accordingly. Like so, for contractor, for government unit GovIntel, our smallest client is a one-person shop. She's super smart. She's got 1 license and she is a machine. Our largest client is Dell. So all Dell federal deals go through our system. So, there are other vendors out there that can give you similar pricing.
Thank you. What impacts do you see with companies using AI tool for proposal response writing and evaluation?
Yeah, so that goes back to what I mentioned earlier in terms of the goals of our clients. They want more at bats. They want higher quality submissions. So what we see is our clients spend less time on identification and more time on focus, on their win themes and how do I actually take this pink team and making a winning proposal. So I joke that every minute not spent on your, making your proposal awesome is wasted time. So in terms of op identification, they try to get rid of as much of that as they possibly can, in terms of routing things to partners and, dealing with mod QA and cancel. Doing that manually is a waste of time, right? Automate that stuff because you really got to spend the time making sure your proposal rocks, that it's fantastic and it hits the win themes and it differentiates you from your competition. And one of the things I mentioned, or 2 of the things I mentioned earlier, they lead to differentiation, right? If you know what that agency, sub-agency has looked for recently or awarded recently, that should inform your proposal to differentiate. Like, so if you've got a proposal for a DevSecOps team and you can see that they recently made an award to Datadog or Splunk, well, you should be rolling that into your proposal, right? So that's the situational awareness that you should have to customize your proposal so that that CO says, wow, they really know our agency. They know what we're doing. This would be a trusted partner. And all if you don't have that situational awareness of what's happening around you with the agency, sub-agency, it's going to be hard to differentiate.
Thank you. I think we answered this question earlier, but what is the best source of prompt engineering training? I think we answered that earlier.
The Khan Academy one is really good. There's a variety of them out there. You'll find some people want to charge you a lot of money. You don't need to spend a lot of money. There's plenty of good free training out there.
Thank you. And that leads to the next question. What are some resources you recommend to look into for training and learning more about the options out there to bring on initial systems, technologies for a small business just getting started?
Yeah, so see previous comment. If you're a small business just getting started, the idea that you're going to go spend $1,500 on a training program, I don't think you want to do that. I don't think you do need to do that. There are things like Khan Academy out there. And, quite frankly, there's a lot of universities that have open source courses where you can actually take their AI courses for free. It's all open source. So MIT was doing that. Columbia was doing that. I think Caltech had one. I know Stanford had some. So I'm a proponent of those classes. I think they're great, and learning from amazing CS professors is always helpful. Now, there's also a gazillion different newsletters you can subscribe to. I subscribe to a couple. Drop me an email. I'll give you the ones I subscribe to. My email's right there on the screen. And from there, if you start clicking through, you can waste a lot of time on this research. But there's a ton of resources out there that are worthwhile. A lot of it depends on how you learn best and what you need. Do you want to read a white paper? Do you want to read a book? Do you want a video that will just walk you through a tutorial? And what I've found with our clients is people learn differently. Some people want to be left alone to read a white paper and then go try stuff. Other people really need the video. They need that video to walk them through and show them on the screen what's happening. But whatever you do, just make sure you spend some time with your fingers on the keyboard, because there's nothing that teaches you like actually going in and trying it.
Thank you. There's some good information coming in the chat. So thank you all for networking and providing information, to your peers in the small business community. We'll answer the next two questions. We'll have them send your email directly.
Okay.
So for the last question that I see in the Q&A, how do you determine what stage of data preparedness the organization is in?
It's never good enough. No, I'm kidding. Just totally kidding. So in terms of preparation, if you can identify the one source for your data, whether that's proposals or resource availability or opportunities, that's half the battle, right? If there's one source, and again, our clients that have a SharePoint site with 28 versions of every proposal, it's a nightmare. It's absolutely a nightmare. So when you can identify your gold proposals quickly and easily, including did they win or did they not? When you can identify where all your opportunity data is managed, when you can easily identify what resources, what LCATs you have available, you're in pretty good shape. The last one, the CRM is the toughest one because we see most of our BD folks and our sales reps, they look at this, recording conversations in CRM as a kind of a necessary evil. In terms of emails, it's really easy because they can just forward it into the CRM or CC the CRM. But it's the conversations that we don't get and the IMs that we don't get enough of in the CRM. And that's you just have to, it is a war of attrition. You just have to stay on them and make sure they're actually putting the information into the CRM in a usable format. So when I see things like, talk to so-and-so, great conversation, drives me crazy. I'm like, I need detail. I have to have I can't go off great conversation. So The place I think that's the hardest is actually that CRM interaction activity. And that's where you should probably spend some time.
Thank you. Another question just popped in. In the environment of contract cancellation or targeting for cancellation, is there a portal or AI approach for vendors to use to track any of these contract opportunities?
Yeah, there's a variety of Doge trackers out there. We've got one. G2X has one. You could actually just Google Doge tracker, and there's plenty there. Don't use the Doge site; it's not accurate, and we see a fair number of inaccuracies there. But the Doge trackers are pretty good. And then in terms of going through there, anything that has DEI in there is gone. Anything with Politico is gone. But then it kind of disintegrates pretty rapidly. So I try to go by the Doge trackers once or twice a week just to see what's been canceled recently to kind of give me an idea of what's probably going to be canceled moving forward. It just gives you an idea of where they're focused. And it is helpful. And quite frankly, we have clients who've had contracts canceled. It's painful. We also have a lot of clients who haven't. So, it's not like across government they're canceling 90% of contracts, but there are a fair number being canceled.
Thank you. And that was the last question. So I appreciate it. Back to you, Amanda. Thank you, Dwight.
That was all. Thank you so much for a very engaging Q&A discussion. And thank you to our panel, Dwight Gibbs, again, Senior Vice President and founder of Uninet Contractor. And thank you, Matt, for being in the chat and monitoring. Again, Matt is the Senior Product Marketing Manager at Uninet. As a reminder, after today's event, we ask that you please complete a brief survey evaluating today's session. We also encourage you to continue to visit the Direct Access Programs events page for upcoming programs that may be of interest to you in your network at vetbiz.va.gov/events. Please note that participation of any commercial entities in VA outreach and training programs does not convey or imply that the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs directly or indirectly endorses any product or service provided or to be provided by the commercial entity, its successors, assignees, or licensees. Furthermore, the Department of Veterans Affairs does not warrant any services that may be provided by the commercial organizations listed. To everyone who has joined today's session, thank you on behalf of the VA OSDBU and Strategic and Outreach Communications Program. This now concludes today's session.